West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why this is an issue.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show.
7 a.m. in the Mile High
710
City on this
KNUS.
Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Bill, did you see the movie Ocean's 8?
Oh, yeah, I
with
did.
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of our family's favorite films.
Oh, nice. It's a good one.
It is a really fun one.
Oh,
like,
it is. It's a great ride.
Ocean's 11, the OG was great. Then it did the sequel, Down Drive.
Yeah.
You know, it just didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Then you get Ocean's 8 with Sandra Bullock and the all-female cast, and the writers did a really good job. I think that's a fun, interesting film. And it seems like the precursor to what happened at the Louvre.
I know. That is crazy.
Where now, headline out of the Wall Street Journal, the murky underworld where the Louvre thieves hope to hawk their stolen jewels. These guys take a furniture lift.
Yeah.
And lift it up to the second level where the French crown jewels are on display. They use cutters.
Yeah, like chainsaws
like
and
laser
stuff like that.
cutters to get in and then steal the jewels somewhere close to tens of millions of dollars possibly stolen out of
Some
here.
priceless, in theory.
Right. And what they do, and what this Wall Street Journal article gets into, is what you see in Ocean's 8, where they carve up these jewels and then go out and sell them. And because they don't look like the original jewels that were stolen, it's much easier to sell them. They'll even melt down the gold, which is at record high right now, and sell that. And so these jewels may never be recovered.
Yeah, it's like when you steal cars and then you part them out. Because in some cases, the pieces can be more than the total thing. So if you're going after, that's why like Honda Accords are very, very valuable, especially the early models, like the 90s to the mid 2000s. They're fairly easy if you're going after them to steal, but there's so many aftermarket parts that just getting a hold of them, you can piece that thing out and is much more valuable than buying it, because a new Accord's probably going to, not a new Accord, but if you buy that thing used, it's going to run you, it's probably $3,000-$4,000 together. But if you part it out and start selling off doors, dashboards, hoods, stuff that's in great condition, you're definitely going to double, if not triple, the amount of money you can make off of that thing. Absolutely. That's what they're doing.
I went to go look at Denver's greatest jewelry heist of all time, and it happened recently. $12 million at the Hyde Park Jewelers here just a few years ago, and they've arrested a person, but he hasn't been before trial. This thing is a wild story as well. Brian Moss has it. We're going to play that audio coming up. So it's going to be a fascinating hour. 8 o'clock, Representative Jarvis Caldwell is going to join us, Colorado House Minority Leader on the Democrats. Speaking of crime, the Democrats in Colorado going, that crime's not a big issue. Not really here. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, Colorado's starting to permanently ban people from casinos, but it doesn't even scratch the surface compared to what some other states have had to do, banning people from casinos as well. So lots of stories to talk about. It's kind of the true crime podcast version of the Jeff and Bill Show, but now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, 33 and clear, expecting a high of 69 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, VP JD in Israel today and tomorrow. He's expected to travel to the HQ for the International Task Force overseeing the Gaza ceasefire. He'll meet with Netanyahu tomorrow. On Monday night, Hamas returned the body of another dead hostage to Israel. 47 is about to be named this year's Richard Nixon Foundation's Architect of Peace, the first ever sitting president to be selected. He has a lot going on today, including hosting Senate Republicans at the Rose Garden to thank them for refusing to give in to Chucky Schumer. The Schumer shutdown caused by the Democrats, now in week 3, tying for the second longest in U.S. history with no end in sight. Another Senate vote failed Monday as Democrats insist on giving anyone who's not a citizen health care. Meanwhile, about 750,000 federal workers remain furloughed. DJT has court permission to deploy National Guard troops to Portland. That's the ruling from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The panel said in its 2-1 ruling Monday that the presidential determinations are not reviewable by federal courts. Molson Coors says it's cutting jobs over the last few months of 2025.
The beverage company announced it's cutting 9% of its workforce, or around 400 positions, and the cuts will affect Golden, Colorado, and Milwaukee. There are about 2,000 workers in each location. The company says not all 400 positions will be layoffs. Some open positions won't be filled, and some cuts will be achieved through voluntary severance packages. The cuts are expected to be completed by the end of the year. I'm Rob Dawson.
Thank you, Rob. Judge Tony Graff, the governor, Judge Tony Graff, a Governor Spencer Cox appointee from Utah over the weekend, you probably heard this, issued a massive gag order on the Charlie Kirk trial. This witness is legally banned from ever speaking about it again. This was her account right after it happened.
Basically, I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he fell over and slumped down, and everybody got down and was screaming, and then we all ran.
Can you describe did he appear to be moving afterward or what?
Not at all. I personally believe he was dead on impact.
Oh my.
So 3,000 plus witnesses, law enforcement, and attorneys are all silenced, facing contempt of court and jail time if they talk. What are they worried about if there's nothing to hide? Stay tuned. Authorities have cleared a homeless encampment near a demolition site near Spear and 6th Avenue. Denver police officers helped people remove their belongings from an area near the former KMGH Channel 7 building Monday. That's it for that building. I actually interned there 35 years ago, so it has a special place in my heart. Staff members from the Department of Housing Stability visited the site earlier in the day to offer support and resources to people at the location. A person found at the encampment was arrested for outstanding warrants. Well, the World Series is set. The Blue Jays will take on Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers. Game 1 Friday night in Toronto. Avalanche at the Mammoth tonight. That's in Utah. Nuggets tip off the season Thursday at Golden State. And CSU Athletic Director John Weber had a press conference on Monday to talk about the firing of head football coach Jay Norvell after a 2-5 start to the season.
Coach Norvell built momentum for a program that deeply needed it, resulted in an 8-win season for us last year and culminated in a bowl game. But ultimately, progress was challenged.
31 in Centennial, 30 in Superior, 33 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. It's Tuesday. News Talk 710. Oh, Blake Olson. News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area is a cold one to kickstart this Tuesday. Freeze warning in place until 8 a.m. Low 30s this morning. Highs, though, pleasant, sunshine, and rebounding temperatures all the way to near 70 for a high today and again Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday nights not as chilly. Upper 30s. Low to mid 60s for highs Thursday into Friday. Some scattered rain showers. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. This article from the Wall Street Journal. It's unclear whether this heist in France, where millions of dollars of jewelry was stolen, was the result of organized criminals. Nearly 40% of jewelry thefts in the U.S. are snatch and grab jobs by organized crime outfits, according to the National Retail Federation. Some theft rings are more sophisticated than others, with thieves donning weapons, wigs, prosthetic disguises. The most infamous jewelry theft gang with Balkan ties is known as the Pink Panthers, an outfit cited across Europe and Asia for dozens of jewel thefts worth hundreds of millions of dollars over the past couple of decades. But the Pink Panthers rarely leave behind any evidence, whereas the Louvre incident saw several missteps. I found this interesting. The team of 4 burglars at the Louvre parked a truck-mounted furniture lift on the street outside the Louvre Palace on Sunday morning and used its ladder to climb a window and break directly into one of the museum's upper galleries, speeding away on scooters with the historic jewels in under 7 minutes. But the thieves also left behind the furniture lift and the angle grinders they used to cut through the window and display cases. They also left behind an element of their disguise, a yellow construction vest. Most significantly, they dropped the 1855 crown of Empress Eugenie, Napoleon's third wife, with nearly 1,400 diamonds and 56 emeralds. It was found damaged on the street outside the museum. Whoever did this is audacious but amateurish, some experts have said. Bill, this brings back to mind a wild memory I had in college where I was walking down a mall at night. It was an outside mall, and we were going to dinner, and I stop, and there's like a ring on the ground. And I'm like, huh. And it still has like the price tag attached to it. So thinking that somebody may have lost it, I pick it up, walk a little bit further, and there's a bracelet on the ground, and then a necklace on the ground. And so I'm like walking, and I'm like, what in the world?
You're thinking, I'm going to be the best boyfriend ever.
Right? Well, and what had happened was it must have only been 30 seconds before us. Smash and grab at a jewelry store, and they had just raced down. So we called the police and came through, and there was jewelry everywhere on the ground. Like bracelets, necklaces, all that stuff.
Jeez.
So, yeah, isn't that wild?
Someone didn't zipper the bag.
Yeah, right.
Like, I mean, just take
right. So I looked this up. Like, what is the biggest, most expensive jewelry heist in Colorado history? Well, it was just recently at the Cherry Creek Mall, Hyde Park Jewelers, $12 million. Listen to this story from Brian Moss at Channel 4.
We now know a heist at this Cherry Creek shopping center jewelry store last July saw the thieves make off with a whopping $12 million.
They took watches, jewelry, and other valuables, and a suspect has now been identified. Your investigator, Brian Moss, broke this story on air and on our website earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, joins us live now from the Cherry Creek Mall with this breaking story. Is the Hyde Creek Jewelry Store saying anything about this new information, Bri?
Michael, Karen, I did stop in a little bit earlier. I talked to a store manager. She said she was not aware of any arrests in this case and was not familiar with any of the details I told her about. But those details are kind of a doozy at this point. Police are saying a South American theft group dressed up as construction workers cut a hole in a wall to get into the Hyde Park Jewelry Store here at the Cherry Creek Shopping Center last July. And they spent 8 hours inside the jewelry store before making off with their massive haul. The burglary of the Hyde Park Jewelry Store at the Cherry Creek Mall took place when the mall was closed last July 21st. But the high-end jeweler and police said little about what happened. But now we've learned this man, Gustavo Salas Ortega, a 33-year-old from Chile with arrests in South America for theft, burglary, and robbery, is suspected in the Hyde Park heist, charged with theft of over $1 million and burglary. 3 months after the heist, here at the jewelry store in the Cherry Creek Mall, the FBI says Salas Ortega and a crew of thieves were involved in another sophisticated heist of a mall jewelry store in New Jersey. In that case, 5 people wearing masks and gloves were seen inside the Millburn, New Jersey mall. Federal investigators describe the crew as a South American theft gang and say the crew likely got into the store through the ceiling, stole many items of jewelry, and disabled the store's alarm system. They say Salas Ortega was seen scouting the mall the day before the heist. When they arrested him, they say he was wearing a $10,000 watch that had been stolen from the jewelry store. Federal and Colorado law enforcement authorities now say Salas Ortega and 3 other people pulled a similar heist at the Cherry Creek Mall jewelry store in July. According to new records obtained by CBS News Colorado, the group traveled to Colorado from California, commonly referred to as crime tourism. They scouted the mall on July 17th, then struck on the night of July 21st, cutting through a wall to get into the Hyde Park store. They were wearing hard hats and reflective vests to apparently disguise their true intent. They got into a vault, according to police, smashed display cases, walking away with more than $12 million in valuables. And police say that about 3 hours after that crew got into the jewelry store, an alarm in the Cherry Creek Shopping Center went off. Mall security responded. They looked through a storefront window. They didn't see anything amiss, so they called it a false alarm. Police say the crew stayed inside the jewelry store for another 5 hours before they left. Denver police told us this afternoon they are continuing to investigate this burglary and the other suspects in the case. As for Salas Ortega, he's apparently being detained on the East Coast on immigration violations. I'm Brian Moss, covering Colorado First.
Yeah, at least they got.
Okay, so that was Brian Moss in February. So the jewelry heist takes place July 21st of 2024. Moss does that piece in February of 2025. Here's the Denver Post in August of 2025. So just about 2 months ago, okay? A year later, no charges in $12 million Cherry Creek jewelry heist. This guy hasn't gone to trial yet, which is wild. A year after a sophisticated quartet of criminals pulled off one of the largest jewelry heists in Denver history, no one has been charged, and only one of the alleged 4 has been arrested. And mum is still the word. The parent company of Denver's Hyde Park Jewelers still declines to discuss what happened, and the Denver Police Department still refuses to release its reports, photos, and videos from the brazen burglary because its investigation is still open. The deficit of arrests and charges in this case raises the possibility that 3/4 of the band of burglars said to have ties to South America have gotten away with the crime. Whoa.
Wow.
I mean, so then they kind of retrace the crime at 7:40 p.m., July 21st, 2024, 4 people dressed like construction workers in hard hats and reflective vests stepped out of a Ford F-150 with missing license plates, grabbed their saws, drills, and power torches, and walked into the Cherry Creek shopping center. Once inside, the 4 entered a unit adjacent to Hyde Park Jewelers, cut through the wall, climbed into the closed store, spray painted its security cameras black. The heist crew then spent 8 hours looting the store, which held $20 million worth of high-end jewelry. Halfway through the burglary, one of the 4 tripped an alarm, but when a mall security guard peered in around 11:30, nothing looked amiss.
Good job, Paul Blart. Nice
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, nice job.
But in that case, Paul Blart in that movie is the hero.
Exactly, because he figures it out, yeah. But
right.
Oh, man.
A Hyde Park employee arrived for work just before 5 a.m. and was the first to learn of the break-in. By then, the quartet of heisters had been westbound on I-70 for more than an hour. With them were bags of Rolexes, Tudor watches, and other jewelry later valued at $12.3 million.
Jeez.
Using data from cell towers and cameras, the investigation placed the burglars on eastbound I-70 at Denver a week before the crime in an employee-only area of the Cherry Creek Shopping Center 4 days before, and at a Lowe's store in Westminster on the day of where one of them allegedly stole the spray paint used for the burglary. After the burglary, the 4 drove to California, according to the detective. By October, Denver had tracked at least one of them, Gustavo Ignacio Salas Ortega, to New York and warned the FBI that they may strike a mall Tiffany store and watch shop. While surveilling the mall, police noticed an SUV that sped away when approached. The SUV's occupants were later arrested. The 3 Chileans and 1 Peruvian national included Salas Ortega, who is said to have a history of robberies and burglaries in Chile and Ecuador. Phones belonging to the 4 allegedly included directions to Hyde Park and other Denver jewelry stores, searches for blowtorch accessories, and photos of heisted jewelry.
Wow.
2 of the 4 suspects were released. Another was determined to be in the country illegally and taken into custody for that reason. Only Salas Ortega was charged with a crime. In New Jersey, he faces 1 count of conspiracy to receive stolen property that had crossed state lines and 1 count of receiving such property. A trial date has not yet been scheduled. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, but not charged for anything here because they can't prove it. That's the crazy part. It looks like you're like, crime doesn't pay. Well, paid off a lot in this case.
$12.3 million bucks.
A lot. Just wow. Again, I'm surprised that he was wearing a wristwatch from the previous robbery in New Jersey. That's weird because all of us that are fans of the movie Goodfellas understand what happens after they hit the dock and people go out and start spending the cash.
Money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're like, you do not go out there and start flashing the cash after we do a big robbery because that's one of the first things they look at. So the crazy part is if he didn't put that bling on his wrist, he may not even face any sort of charges or been arrested. That is crazy to think about.
So one of the problems that the Wall Street Journal explores with this heist at the Louvre is that they divide up all the jewels and then sell them off and stuff like that. And it's actually really hard to chase them down.
Yeah.
But one of the solutions, and one that I think may be right, is you up the charges with regard to anytime you steal these historical items.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not talking necessarily Hyde Park jewelry, but for instance, the theft at the Louvre was the crown jewels of France.
Yeah.
And
rather important.
One of the ideas going forward is that when stuff like this gets stolen, you charge them under the title of cultural terrorism.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
That is. Now, I can see that the idea of, raising the bar as far as what the punishment should be, because it gives you, more leeway as far as to eventually convict them and things. I'm just shocked at times at how easy things like this seem to be. Now, easy being a relative word. The idea in the Louvre, getting the furniture truck, getting the angle grinders, understanding how much time you have, understanding the noise it's going to make, what are the important pieces that we're going to grab, stuff like that. So yes, there is some stuff involved in it, but it seems, and especially in the Hyde Park case, some of these security measures that are there didn't work that well. And the one that in the Hyde Park instance that shocks me the most is the security guard, the one human that has the ability to take in extraneous information outside of a computer, analyze it, and then make a determination based on context, just misses everything. That the human should have been the one thing in that Hyde Park case that should have helped them catch it, but not at all. Not at all.
Did you ever see the movie Nothing to Lose with Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins?
I don't think I have, actually.
So they decide to break in and steal stuff from Tim Robbins' boss because Tim's convinced, erroneously, though, I'm spoiling the movie from 25 years ago, but erroneously that his wife's sleeping with his boss, so he wants to break in and steal money from him. Well, a security guard comes by, and they have to hide and there's a hilarious scene where the radio gets tripped, and so the music starts to play and the security looks around, but then spends about 90 minutes dancing to the music while the guys have to hide.
Oh my gosh, that's
the
great.
Security guard. So it's hilarious. But it is amazing to me that this wasn't caught, but I didn't hear about this case. I don't remember hearing about this case. Do you?
The Hyde Park
12 million?
Yeah, I do remember hearing about it, but I don't. The thing is, I remember hearing about it when it happened, but nothing as far as follow-up, which would make sense because there is no follow-up. That's the crazy
wild
part.
To me.
That's the crazy part. I don't remember hearing any follow-up.
$12 million.
And they're like, well, we don't know where it went. Wow.
Do you think this is a case, and I've known cops to we all know who it is, but we just can't prove it? That type of thing. We're not sure if we went forward that we'd be able to get a conviction, and so we just have to kind of sit on and watch these guys. Or do you think it's part of a larger strategy? Maybe there's a bigger crime operation happening, so they've tagged these guys, they're watching them, they're out there running, and they want to see if it leads to bigger convictions?
Yeah,
what do you think happened?
My guess would be they just don't have enough. They've got things where they're, and I've talked to law enforcement individuals, and it was all sorts of minor crimes, et cetera, but they're like, there are times in which we are pretty sure we know who did it, but could we walk into court and actually prove it at a level that it would, basically a return on investment? How much time and effort are we going to use and resources are we going to use in order to get this perpetrator convicted, and what's the likelihood? And if it is just a 50-50 shot, many times they will defer and say, no, it's not worth the time and effort because at the best, we've got a coin flip that, I've known prosecutors that'll talk about, no, when we charge, when we go to trial, we know we can prove this. We know we've got this person.
Yeah.
It's just about what the defense does to muddy the water and to throw smoke up there and to confuse the judge or the jury. But, we can walk from A to B to C. But if you can't go from A to B to C, if you've got A and C but not B, that's a difficult play. And that may be it, is they just don't have enough information to get these guys because they've identified someone.
What's wild to me is he's wearing an $11,000 watch stolen from the store he was arrested at in New Jersey, okay? But then listen to this. In late January, the FBI showed some of the images on Salas Ortega's phone to Hyde Park CEO Damon Gross, who noticed a custom-made gold earring that was lifted from his store. He's got pictures on his phone.
Yeah, so that's one where you're like, okay, and then that's probably the receiving stolen property, etc. But
Salas Ortega has not been charged in the Denver robbery.
Jeez. Because again, maybe he's just like, hey, a friend of mine sent this to me and said, could I fence it? I was not involved. I would never do that. Someone else sent. I mean, again, how'd he get it? And so can they prove it?
These alleged thieves have worked equally hard to evade law enforcement as they have to infiltrate the very businesses they've ripped off, says the FBI. No charges in Colorado's most expensive jewelry heist in history. Still no charges. And that was 2024. I found that just wild.
That is. And yet you and I are still getting up in the dark and doing this radio show. What it seems like.
Bill, that's because we believe in a God that's going to hold us accountable.
Yeah,
someday.
I know. Stupid morals. They get in the way so often.
Well, join the conversation, especially if you have a tip. Let's get this thing.
Yeah.
How cool would it be if the Jeff and Bill show
That'd be
blew this
awesome.
case wide open?
That'd be great.
$12 million stolen from Cherry Creek's Hyde Park Jewelers in 2024. Still no charges. And the guys at the Louvre stealing millions there. No idea who's done it.
Yeah.
Wild time.
It's incredible.
To be a jewel thief. All right, let's talk advanced hair restoration. Guys, if you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration. From the experience itself to their unmatched results, you got a receding hairline, bald spot, or thinning hair. Address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments. And get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the Advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair. I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com, 720-459-HAIR, or advancedhair.com. When we come back, Bill, you know who could use some money?
Who?
The Denver Post and the city of Denver.
Oh, yeah, they could.
Denver budget woes deepen as a major leaseholder has stopped paying $650,000 at the Denver Post building. Oh, I thought it was the Denver Post. I guess it's just a leaseholder at that building themselves.
Oh, okay.
But they are $2 million behind in rent.
Jeez.
That's maybe the city of Denver shouldn't have bought the building to begin with. We'll get into that and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Wake up, Denver. There's no better place to start your morning than IHOP, where the pancakes are fluffy, the coffee is hot, and the smiles are endless. Wednesday, October 22nd, join Jeff and Bill as they broadcast their show live from IHOP at 9565 South University Boulevard in Highlands Ranch. You're officially invited to be part of the excitement. Come grab your favorite breakfast and watch the Jeff and Bill Show in action from 6 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to try the special Jeff and Bill breakfast. Pancakes, any style eggs, and crispy bacon, all for just $7.10. It's a deal as good as their hot takes. All they need is you. Bring your appetite, bring your friends, and kick off your day with great food and great conversation. See you Wednesday, October 22nd at IHOP.
So, Bella, I was wrong twice now. I'm trying to do better.
But
this was breaking
I've got like 5 or
news.
6 this morning, according to text messages.
The Denver Post is the leaseholder that's defaulted
there we go.
because it's listed under DP Media Network LLC. So listen to this. This is crazy, okay? Denver budget woes deepen as major leaseholder stops paying $650,000 in monthly rent. This is from Brian Moss, CBS News. Brian Moss also did the jewelry. He's a quality man.
Oh, he is. He is.
He doesn't just yell at me on X like some other media does. All right, the city of Denver's largest tenant, the leaseholder for the Denver Post building at 101 West Colfax Avenue. We all see it if you drive down Colfax towards the state capitol. Big Denver Post building right there, okay? Stopped making its monthly $650,000 rent payments to the city in August. And with late charges, the leaseholder is now about $2 million behind in rent. According to an exclusive CBS News Colorado investigation, it's a large amount of income for the city. And if we can't recover that, we'll have to turn around and find more budget cuts, said City Councilwoman Sarah Parody. The city of Denver bought the Denver Post building in early 2024 for $88.5 million. Bro, that's crazy.
Wow, that is crazy.
Saying that the 303,000 square foot building would eventually be needed to house the Denver's court system. The Denver City Council approved the purchase by a 9-4 vote, but several council members were skeptical of the price the city was paying, the timing of the purchase, and the need for the building. Golly, they sure look like the smart ones here. Lisa Lumley, Denver's director of real estate, told council members the deal would be revenue neutral as the monthly $650,000 payments from the master leaseholder DP Media Network LLC would cover the city's financing charges. So I went to go look at Denver Media, DM Media, DP Media Network LLC, and who they are. So this is like the marketing oversight company for the Denver Post. They write on their website under who we are. For more than 125 years, Denver Post Media has been committed to excellence. Whether within our four walls or out in the community, we strive to be a catalyst for positive change. Our goal is not only to be the most trusted source of news for dedicated readership, but to provide knowledge, guidance, and superior results for the business community that we serve. So similar to what we do here at Salem, where we help with like digital marketing as well, they do that. So it's the Denver Post. It's also content marketing, search, social display, and email. But that's the leaseholder. They can't make the payments anymore.
So hang on. The people running the advertising gig aren't making the payments. Hang on. Aren't you the people responsible for making the money?
Dude, I think legacy media is collapsing so fast right now. I think that's what's happening. Back in August, the leaseholder DP Media LLC stopped making its monthly payments, according to a notice of default obtained by CBS News. For August, September, and October, it has not only not paid rent, but has also accrued late charges of $32,000 each month, bringing the total amount owed to just over $2 million in unpaid rent and late fees. The city was banking on nearly $8 million in rent from the building this year. CBS News emailed 4 lawyers representing DP Media Network seeking an explanation on why the lease payments have stopped, but none of them has responded.
Oddly.
Boy, John Ewing, a spokesperson for Mayor Mike Johnston, responded to CBS News Colorado investigation with a written statement. Denver pays its debts on time. DP Media Network should do the same. We're working with the tenant to restart payments and intend to recover every penny. Bro, Denver Post, $2 million. There's no way they can make that.
No.
They're gonna be sunk before you know it.
Yeah, and at what point this is the problem that Johnston's got is, what point do you want to evict them? Because who's your new tenant? Who's going to come in there? Who's going to get the space? You're going to have to probably rent it for less at this point. what do you do with it? That's the
Do
problem.
you remember when Do Better Denver was like, hey, why is the Denver Post randomly coming after us per the orders of the mayor?
Yeah.
Hey, maybe if you're $2 million in debt and you get a call from the mayor, I'm not saying there's any evidence to this, it's all speculation, but maybe you get a call from the mayor, you're going to put your reporters on a story.
Yeah, maybe. I think this is somewhat of an indictment in legacy media, especially print media. But also, though, think about that group there is doing advertising and strategy in the digital space, and they're still not able to make ends meet. Now, we know there is a very poorly kept secret that almost every media company out there, ours included, has a digital sales arm and offers all sorts of variety of things that are untethered from the traditional media outlet, meaning either their TV broadcast, radio broadcast, or print ventures. They all do it to a varying degree and varying degrees of success. The Post is trying with this, and from what we are seeing, still unable to make ends meet. I'm trying to figure out what's going wrong there, because I have seen balance sheets of other media companies, those involved in broadcast TV, and while ad rates seem to get into a little bit of a fallow time, those digital rates are exploding. And one of the things when we talked about Jimmy Kimmel being suspended for a while and how long those late night TV shows are going to last, one of the things we talked about was how Jimmy Fallon, not the suspended Jimmy, the other Jimmy that's on the Tonight Show, how he has maximized his online digital footprint and creates some incredible stuff, some things that are only for digital, but they're small form, they're diced into pieces, and they're really, really good. In fact, when Taylor Swift recently sat down on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Kimmel, it was the longest interview he had ever done. It lasted over 40 minutes. He had never done something that long. I did not watch the broadcast version. I waited to see the video version because I knew I would get more of the conversation in its entirety.
Yeah.
Also, without commercial breaks. And this is what's crazy. I don't know what they broadcast because given all the stuff and interviews they did, I can't figure out how they would have fit a 40-minute interview with Taylor onto the show. I have no idea what they did. They might have and just cut everything else, but I know there were other guests on the show as well because Jimmy previewed those in the conversation with Taylor. So, also, if you haven't seen the conversations with Taylor Swift and Jimmy Kimmel, do, because there are some really funny things. One, about how Travis Kelce popped the question. That is a hilarious conversation. And how Ed Sheeran, one of Taylor's best friends, found out about the engagement like the rest of us on Instagram because Ed doesn't have a phone. And she's like, I couldn't call him. Two hilarious stories. And the story about the engagement and how Travis popped the question is really, really funny and really sweet. But yeah, they're fun conversations.
Anyone with kids knows that legacy media is on its way out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're consuming more media at any point in world history, and it's none of what they're producing. No kids are watching broadcast television. No kids are reading newspaper. No kids are listening to terrestrial radio. The whole thing's changing, and it's becoming much more social media focused. Jason's got a great point. Jason in Denver. Only the city would be so stupid to pay $88 million for an office building when there's a glut of office space still vacant. Denver's just 90 days away from turning that building into a homeless shelter.
Yeah, that's the thing is that price tag for that building is silly based on that. How are you going to recoup your investment on that one?
Exactly. And they got to rely on millions of dollars coming in. They're not getting it.
Yeah. And now they're talking about budget cuts for the rest of the city based on revenue they're not deriving. That's a mistake. That's just a whole mistake. The fact that because you're the person that you have leased the building to isn't paying you, that you're then going to have to make much budget cuts for other services.
And you've got buildings going for pennies on the dollar downtown right now.
I mean, right now, the probably the biggest way, and I don't know the bits and pieces as far as the investment, but I still say that if you can get, again, there's no bad asset there's only a bad price for an asset.
Yeah, right.
There's always a price in which that asset makes sense. So if you can get an asset like the former Denver Post building at a price where it makes it economically feasible to transform it into
$1 million.
Yeah, but you transform it into housing, now you've got something. Now you've got something that is marketable and in demand inside the city. Office space is not in demand in Denver Metro proper, but housing is. That's where the investment should be.
You know what we need is a bat signal with Donald Trump's face on it that we need a developer that could come in and make this make sense. Mike Johnston, the Denver City Council, definitely not the ones to do this. All right, let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer, a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Big victory recently as well, $200 million for the family of the young girl that had been killed in the Glenwood Springs Adventure Park accident by exposing that the company had workarounds. It trained its employees to run the ride even when alarms were going off that the seatbelts weren't set. Dan Caplis gets justice. He's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. Jason with another great text. Why was Denver so stupid to pay this price when the biggest tenant is basically the Yellow Pages in 2004?
That's
right
another
before
question.
Google blew up.
Why is this the leaseholder that you felt was going to make sure they could pay their bills? Yeah.
Oh, because we don't elect smart people. I've said it from the beginning. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Billy and I talking all things Denver this hour, from the record jewelry theft that took place in Denver back in 2024, $12 million. Still no one has been charged in that.
It's crazy.
We were talking about that in light of the Louvre jewelry heist that took place. And I guess there's some videos coming out now if it happened. And they were wearing the little construction things. You can get, have you seen those social media videos where guys just like walk into movie theaters with like little vests on, walk into amusement parks?
Yeah. I knew friends of mine had older siblings that would, and this is 80s. So again, much different time frame. But we're talking 80s time where the older siblings would get backstage at concerts by showing up as a pizza delivery person. They would just get the pizza delivery shirt, or it was something they had already worked at Domino's or Pizza Hut or whatever it was, and they'd show up with a couple of pizzas at the backstage door going, oh yeah, this is for the band or this is for the crew in order. And they're like, rather than the person running security getting somebody, they're just like, just go in and get it. And again, you couldn't do it at the huge shows, but if you hit the mid-level and low-level shows, full access. And once you're backstage carrying pizza, you can go wherever you want. Nobody's going to stop Pizza Dude. So, yeah, they did that to a number of shows. Again, you're not getting into those high-priced, huge shows back in the day. But those mid-level shows, yeah, they got in all the time. Yeah, doing that.
Well, speaking of people desperately in need of money right now, the city of Denver, with its $88 million Denver Post building, where its chief tenant is no longer making payments. That chief tenant, Denver Post Media.
Who could have seen that coming? Yes. Who could have seen that the Denver Post would struggle to pay their bills?
What's wild, though, is that the largest jewelry theft in Colorado history covered 1/8 of the cost of that building?
Yeah. That's just incredible.
Thank you so much, City of Denver.
Yeah, and also the City of Denver thinking, hey, we are going to buy this building in a time in which nobody's renting office space and rent it as office space. Brilliant. Good job.
and other buildings going for pennies on the dollar down in the city.
Silly.
The budget woes continue to get worse in Denver. What about crime? Well, we're going to talk with Representative Jarvis Caldwell, Colorado House Minority Leader, next about this. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are 710 KNUS. Be right back.